Hello there, 8th grade Grizzlies. This is Miss Brown, also known as the voice of your Edpuzzle. And this is going to be a review for your science test over cells, Punnett squares, and inherited traits. So let's go ahead and get started. So before I tackle this, I am going to tackle this, okay? So you have an animal cell and a plant cell. We're going to label these first, okay? And this is kind of a brain dump that you can also do before you start your test on Thursday. You can ask for a blank sheet of paper and kind of dump this information out and have it to refer to during your test, okay? All right, so before we do this, I'm going to do this one. So let's separate these. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the different parts of the animal cell and the plant cell. Then we'll go back and do the review sheet, and then we'll do a little bit of Punnett squares and inherited traits. The Punnett squares should probably be pretty fresh in your brain just because it's something we've learned within the last week or so. Okay? All right, 8th grade Grizzlies, let's get started. Okay. So this here is an animal cell. We are animals, so obviously this is what our cells look like, okay? And the main difference between a plant cell and an animal cell is that an animal cell is circular, a plant cell is rectangular, and plant cells have chloroplasts and cell walls. We do not, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is when I label the different organelles, I'm going to put the definitions next to it along with some abbreviations to kind of help you remember, but I won't do that for the plant cell for all of the organelles that are similar to the animal cells, okay? You'll see what I mean once I get started. All right, first definition I want you to write is organelle. These are small structures inside a cell that carry out specific functions. Okay? All right, so the first thing we're going to label on here is right here. This is your nucleus. And this is the control center of the cell. And you can also nickname it the brain. This is the brain of the cell. This is what controls everything. Okay? All right, right here, these are vacuoles. Okay, these are also vacuoles as well, but I'm just going to label these two. Okay, this is your storage. We'll call it a storage tank. Okay. And they store food, water, waste, and nutrients. And that's another difference between a plant cell and an animal cell, is an animal cell has numerous very small vacuoles, whereas a plant cell has one large vacuole. Okay, but we'll talk about that when we get to this Venn diagram. We'll go over that. But I just wanted to kind of point that out as I'm labeling these cell parts. Okay? All right, right here you have your cell membrane. And this is your gateway, or we'll just call it a gate. And this controls what goes into and out of the cell. All right, I'm going to put this right here, just this space, right, this space. We're going to say this is the cytoplasm. And this is the jelly filling inside of the cell, and it holds the organelles in place. So the nickname for this, we'll call this the jelly filling. And the cytoplasm also acts as a cushion to protect all these little organelles. Okay? I'll give you a second to write. All right, these little zigzags, things right here, this is your mitochondria. And we can say this is the powerhouse or power plant. And this produces energy for the cell. And let me readjust here, guys, so I can keep all of this in frame. All right. These little purple, I'm going to go over these in purple. Okay. Those little purple things right there. That is your Golgi apparatus. And we're going to call this the hallway. All right, and your Golgi apparatus is the passageway to carry materials from one part of the cell to another. Okay, so just like the hallways of Goodson carry you from one end of the building to the other, that's what you can think of the Golgi apparatus. Okay. All right. I'm gonna color these pink things around the nucleus. Okay. This is your endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, and we're going to call this the packing center. Okay, so the endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for packaging materials to be sent to other parts of the cell. So I kind of ran out of room here, so I'm going to draw a line down here. We also call it the ER, so I'm going to write ER, okay, endoplasmic reticulum, and this is the area where materials are packed and sent to other parts of the cell. Okay. Okay, and there's one other thing that I'm going to draw in that we talked about, and I'm going to put these little black dots on top of the endoplasmic reticulum, and these little black dots are ribosomes. Okay, and the ribosomes make protein. So you could think of the ribosomes as like construction, or we'll call them builders, because they build protein. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is refocus here. So all of this is hopefully in frame. Okay, and I'm going to pause and give you guys a chance to write all this down, because I know I went kind of fast, because I'm trying not to make this video too long. So I'm going to pause, and then when I come back, I'm going to go over the plant cell. Okay, we're going to go on to the plant cell. And there's a couple of things I'm going to do. So some of the structures match the animal cell. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put this purple in here. I'm going to put some pink over here. And then I'm going to add some green right here, and then we can get started. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing this to highlight the chloroplast, and then this right here is your Golgi apparatus, which is the same color as this one, and then the pink are your endoplasmic reticulum, which is here. So I just kind of wanted those to match a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and label the parts of the plant cell, but the only one I'm going to go into detail on is the chloroplast and the cell wall, because it does the same thing in the plant cell as it does in the animal cell. Okay? All right. So right here you have your cell membrane. Okay, and I'm going to say this is the gate. Allows things to go in and out. Right here you have your nucleus, which is the brain of the cell, controls everything. Right here, these little zigzag things are mitochondria. Okay, and your excuse me, your mitochondria are your, the powerhouse of the cell. So we said powerhouse or power plant. Okay, then these pink that I colored pink are your endoplasmic plasmid reticulum. And we call this packing center. And they package things to be sent to other parts of the cell. Oh, one thing I forgot to draw on here. These little black dots on top of the endoplasmic reticulum, those are ribosomes. And they, we said these were the builders because they make protein. Oops, sorry, I'm out of frame there. Then these purple are your Golgi apparatus. And we said this was the hallway. And then in the center, just all this empty, this open space here is your cytoplasm. That's the jelly filling that holds the organelles in place, and it also provides cushion for the cells, cushion for the organelles rather, so it protects them. Then right here you have your vacuole, and we said this was the storage or storage tank. Can't remember what I put on the other side, but we're just going to say it's the storage tank. Okay, and now I'm going to go into the other two structures that are present in a plant cell that are not in an animal cell. And I didn't label this, so we're going to say this is a plant cell. Okay, so right here we have a cell wall, and this provides support and structure. And also protection. Okay, so we're going to call the cell wall the bricks. So like the bricks on the outside of your house, they provide support, structure, and also protection. Okay, so this is your cell wall. And then finally, these green guys here, these are your chloroplasts. Okay, and this is where photosynthesis takes place. Okay, and the chloroplasts have chlorophyll. That's the green stuff that makes the plants look green. Okay, and this is, like I said, chloroplast is where photosynthesis takes place. So we'll call this the kitchen because this is where food is made for the plant cell. So we'll call that the kitchen. Alright, now that we have our plant cell and our animal cell labeled, we can go back and finish working on the other part of the review sheet. So, I need you to grab this here. We're going to set this to the side and we're going to use this as reference as we go through. And like I said, this wouldn't be a bad idea to do a brain dump of all this information right before before you start your test. Ask for a fresh sheet of paper and write all this down. It might help you. All right, so now we can go on and do this. Okay, specialized structures inside of a cell that perform certain functions. What we labeled that, guys, and we wrote the definition, organelle. So that would be H. elongated disc-shaped organelle that traps energy to make sugar for the plants. We just talked about that. That is your chloroplast. Control center and contains DNA, also known as the brain. That's the nucleus. Rigid outer boundary of a plant cell that provides support and structure and protects the cell. That is G, cell wall. Process by which plants make their own food. That is photosynthesis. Storage organelle filled with fluid, food, and waste. That is your vacuole. Semi-permeable boundary of a cell that allows things to pass through. That's your gate. That is your cell membrane. And provides power to the rest of the cell. This is your power plant or powerhouse, either one. And that is your mitochondria. All right, true, false. We're going to write whether it's true or false, and if it is false, we're going to write the correct answer. So, largest organelle in the cell is the nucleus. That is true. So we don't need to write anything. Mitochondria is similar to power plants. Yes, they make energy for the cell. That is true. Plant cells and animal cells have the same organelles. That is false. Plant cells, they have a cell wall, and they also have chloroplasts. Animal cells do not. So that statement is false. All right, next question. The basic unit of a living thing is cell. That is true. And the gel-like fluid between the nuclear membrane and the cell membrane is chlorophyll. That is false. That is cytoplasm. And that is the jelly filling. All right, multiple choice. So use this diagram to the right. Which organelle is responsible for storing water and nutrients in a cell? That is your vacuole, storage tank. Okay. Which structure of a cell keeps unwanted objects out of the cell? That is your gate, your cell membrane. What organelles do plant cells have that animal cells do not? We wrote that right here, a cell wall and chloroplasts. All right, now down to the bottom. Which one is plant, which one is animal? Okay, remember we said animal cell. Okay, if I can spell today. Is circular or round. And the plant cell is rectangular. Okay. So explain your reasoning. Well, I actually wrote it here. Animal cell is round or circular, plant cell is rectangular. So I'm not going to write anything there. All right, on over to the back. So this is a Venn diagram that's going to talk about the differences between the plant and the animal cell. Okay, well, we did this here. Okay, so this will be helpful to use. Okay, so let's talk about the differences. The main difference, and I know I keep harping on this, but you need to know it because it's been on STAR tests and it's on your tests. Plant cells have a cell wall. Plant cells have chloroplasts. Animal cells do not. One other difference between plant and animal cells is plant cells have one large vacuole. Animal cells have many small vacuoles. Okay, so they both have vacuoles. It's just the number of vacuoles that they have are different. Okay? Okay, and now we can fill in all the other things that plant animal cells have in common. So they have vacuoles, a nucleus, cytoplasm, a Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, and ribosomes. Okay. Okay, Grizzlies, I'm going to pause there. Actually, I'm not going to pause. I'm going to end this video here, and I'm going to do a short separate video just to go over DNA, Punnett squares, and inherited traits.